John Travolta wouldn't have a career today if it wasn't for Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino saved Travolta from obscurity with Pulp Fiction in 1994, only for Travolta to squander his second chance and fall back into obscurity. Put it like this, the 6 movies he's made since 2018's Gotti only have a total gross of $434,000. Not 434 million, 434,000. But it wasn't always like this. Travolta's career was actually looking up for a while. He was set on acting from a young age, even dropping out of high school to pursue it. He was quick to find success. He began landing TV roles when he was 18 and landed his first film role, a minor role to be sure, but a role nonetheless, in 1975's The Devil's Reign. Travolta is a workaholic. Over a 50-year career, he's only had a handful of years where he's had no film or TV release, often because he was shooting something else. His next movie was 1976's Carrie, a critical and commercial success. But it was 1977's Saturday Night Fever that undoubtedly put him on the map. Made on a budget of $3.5 million, the film made an astounding $237 million at the box office. A massive success by any means. It was hailed as one of the best movies of 1977 and earned the young Travolta, just 24 at the time, an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. It was a harbinger of the success that was to follow over the next few years. Travolta followed Saturday Night Fever with an even bigger hit, 1978's Grease, which grossed $366 million on a budget of $6 million, won critical acclaim, and was the highest grossing movie of 1978. In 2 films, made for less than $10 million in total, Travolta brought in more than $600 million. He was gold. Or rather, he should have been. After 45 years, Grease is still Travolta's highest grossing film. Of course, box office isn't the only thing that matters. Most stars have some intangible quality that make them stars, and for what it's worth, Travolta had that for a few years. His next movie, Moment by Moment, was a flop critically and commercially, but he picked it back up with 1980's Urban Cowboy. The film inspired a resurgence in the popularity of country music, and the movie was enjoyed by critics and the public, making $53 million on a budget of $10 million. But, looked at another way, it made a scant 7th of Grease just a few years before. Travolta was back on the downturn with his next film, Blowout, which, despite positive reviews, failed to even make its budget back. When he was doing musicals, Travolta wanted to be taken as a serious actor, which is why he took roles like Blowout. But the box office results, understandably, panicked him. He returned to form with 1983's Staying Alive, another musical and a sequel to Saturday Night Fever. The film performed well at the box office, but was annihilated by critics. It's one of the few movies to have a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was a nail in the coffin for Travolta's career for half a decade. His next 3 movies were flops, while 1989's Look Who's Talking and 1990's Look Who's Talking 2 would be commercial successes and critically uninspiring. Those were the only 2 commercially successful films Travolta had over 11 years between 1983 and 1994. It was Quentin Tarantino's 1994 masterpiece, Pulp Fiction, which, for a moment, turned things around for John Travolta. Tarantino wanted Travolta in the role of Vincent Vega and was determined to get him. That proved difficult. Harvey Weinstein, who produced the film, wanted anyone but Travolta. Tarantino's agent, Mike Simpson, didn't mince words, saying, quote, John Travolta was, at the time, as cold as they get. He was less than 0, end quote. But Tarantino was adamant and threatened to walk unless he got the actor that he wanted. Weinstein relented, and Tarantino turned out to be right. Travolta would go on to earn another nomination at the Academy Awards for Best Actor in Pulp Fiction. And for the rest of the 90s, it seemed as though he had turned things around. Movies following Pulp Fiction, like Get Short, Michael, Phenomenon, Broken Arrow, Face Off, and The General's Daughter were successes. But then came 2000's Battlefield Earth, a commercial and critical flop that's considered one of the worst movies ever made. And that was a harbinger for his career going forward. Most of his movies, since 1998's Thin Red Line, have performed poorly with critics and the public, often failing to turn a profit, or worse, falling short of earning their budget back. To be sure, he's remained busy. Since 2000, he's only had 4 off years, but in that nearly quarter century, across 33 films, only a handful likely made a profit based on the 2.5 times multiplier. Some of his movies, like 2018's Speed Kills, 2019's Trading Paint, and The Fanatic, and 2023's Mobland, have made just a few thousand or $100,000 at the box office, or, in the case of Mobland, just $171. Travolta was relegated to direct-to-video land, a position Nicolas Cage found himself in for the better part of a decade and only recently crawled himself out of. 2018's Gotti, which saw Travolta return to Cannes almost 25 years after he earned plaudits for playing Vincent Vega, was not another Pulp Fiction. It failed to make its money back and, like Staying Alive, has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, one of 7 that Travolta has. The Hollywood Reporter put it harshly, calling it, quote, pretty terrible, poorly written, devoid of tension, ridiculous in spots, and just plain dull in others, end quote. Tarantino gave Travolta a second chance, and for whatever reason, maybe he's just a bad actor, maybe he sucks at choosing roles, Travolta has been unable to take full advantage of it. There are rumors that Travolta will be in Quentin Tarantino's final movie, The Movie Critic. Whether or not Tarantino can give Travolta a third act remains to be seen, though I have my doubts.